Welcome back to Instant Fame. Today, we're diving into a headline-making story that's catching everyone's attention. An unexpected inheritance linked to Valerie Bertinelli that's causing quite a stir in the entertainment world. Valerie Bertinelli just became $18 million richer overnight, and the reason will leave you speechless. This isn't just another celebrity inheritance story. This is a financial twist so unexpected. Even legal experts are calling it the most shocking post-divorce payout in Hollywood history. For years, fans thought Valerie Bertinelli and Eddie Van Halen's love story ended in 2007 when they finalized their divorce. But behind closed doors, something far more surprising was unfolding. A secret financial bond that would only surface after Eddie's death. When Eddie Van Halen passed away in 2020, headlines focused on his son, Wolfgang, inheriting the bulk of his estate. But buried in the fine print of his will was a jaw-dropping revelation. Valerie, his ex-wife of 26 years, was quietly left a fortune worth nearly triple what industry insiders predicted. Sources close to the estate reveal the inheritance includes a $6.5 million Malibu beach house that was previously undisclosed in Eddie's assets. She also received 12% of Van Halen's song royalties, earning her an estimated $400,000 per year. The package included a vintage car collection featuring Eddie's iconic 1972 De Tomaso Pantera, plus unreleased music rights valued at $8 million, with clauses allowing Valerie to approve any future releases. But here's what makes this truly bizarre. Eddie and Valerie had been divorced for 13 years when he died. So why would he leave her what some estimate to be over 30% of his estate? Estate attorneys who reviewed the will say this wasn't a last-minute decision. It was a carefully calculated move. Hidden in their 2007 divorce papers was a clause ensuring Valerie would always receive a percentage of Eddie's music earnings, even if he remarried. Insiders say their son Wolfgang initially had no idea about the extent of Valerie's inheritance until the will was read. Rumors suggest Eddie's brother and bandmate Alex Van Halen was blindsided and may contest the will. While the internet exploded with speculation, Valerie did something no one expected. She went completely silent. No interviews. No social media. Posts. Just a single cryptic Instagram story the day the news broke. A black and white photo of her and Eddie in their prime, captioned only with a heart emoji. Body language experts analyzing her rare public appearances note she's holding tension in her jaw, suggesting this isn't just grief. There's something she's not saying. Her avoidance of direct eye contact in interviews suggests legal advice to stay vague about the situation. One theory is that Eddie knew Valerie would protect his legacy better than anyone. After all, she was by his side during Van Halen's peak, and never sold stories about their marriage, even during their divorce. Another bombshell is Valerie's new production company, quietly formed in 2023, which is funded almost entirely by inheritance money. Is she planning a documentary? A tell-all memoir? The pieces are all there. But here's the real kicker. Estate planners have dug up an even bigger secret. Eddie's will included a second surprise beneficiary no one's talking about yet, and that revelation could change everything. But before we get to that, you won't believe what Valerie did just 3 days after the will was read. While the world speculated, she made one calculated move that showed she'd been preparing for this moment for years. Sources close to Valerie reveal she immediately hired a powerhouse legal team, specializing in intellectual property and inheritance law. This wasn't a reactive decision. She'd been consulting with them since 2018, 2 years before Eddie's passing. The timing raises serious questions. Did Valerie know more about Eddie's health than the public did? Was she anticipating this exact scenario? The plot thickens when you examine Valerie's financial activity in the months leading up to Eddie's death. Property records show she quietly purchased a $1.2 million property adjacent to her existing home in 2019, paying cash. At the time, it seemed like a simple real estate investment. Now, insiders suggest it was part of a larger financial strategy made possible by advanced knowledge of Eddie's estate plans. Even more telling, Valerie's cookbook, released just weeks after Eddie's passing, contained a dedication that read, "For E, our story isn't over." Fans assumed it was a tribute, but those in the know believe it was a hint about what was coming. The most shocking detail might be what Valerie didn't inherit. Despite receiving millions in assets, she was specifically excluded from one valuable part of Eddie's estate, his famous Frankenstrat guitar collection. Instead, those went entirely to Wolfgang, along with a letter stating they were never to be sold. This careful division of assets suggests Eddie put tremendous thought into exactly who should get what. Legal analysts point out this level of detail in an estate plan typically indicates years of preparation, not something thrown together last minute. Valerie's behavior since receiving the inheritance has been equally fascinating. Rather than flaunt her newfound wealth, she's been quietly upgrading her life in subtle ways. Her social media shows kitchen renovations and vacation photos, but no obvious displays of extravagance. This low-key approach has only fueled more speculation. Is she trying to avoid drawing attention to the full extent of what she received? Or is there another reason she's being so careful about how she presents herself post-inheritance? The situation becomes even more complex when you consider Valerie's current marriage. She wed financial planner Tom Vitale in 2011, 4 years after divorcing Eddie. Sources say the inheritance has created interesting dynamics in her current marriage, with prenuptial agreements suddenly becoming a much more pressing topic. Some insiders suggest this might explain why Valerie has been so tight-lipped. She's navigating not just the public fallout, but private family negotiations as well. What very few people know is that Valerie's inheritance came with strings attached. The will reportedly includes stipulations about how certain assets can be used, particularly the music rights. Eddie apparently specified that Valerie couldn't sell her share of the royalties without Wolfgang's approval. This kind of conditional giving is common in high-profile estates, but it does mean Valerie's control over her inheritance isn't absolute. It also suggests Eddie was trying to balance providing for his ex-wife with protecting his son's interests. The most intriguing question remains: why would Eddie do this? After more than a decade divorced, what motivated him to leave Valerie such a significant portion of his estate? Some point to their long history together. Married in 1981 when both were rising stars, they weathered Eddie's substance abuse issues and the pressures of fame together. Others suggest it was guilt over how their marriage ended, or perhaps recognition of Valerie's role in raising their son Wolfgang. There's also the possibility this was simply Eddie's way of ensuring his fortune stayed in the hands of people he truly trusted. Valerie's next moves will be telling. With millions in new assets and a production company quietly gaining steam, she has the resources to reshape her career however she chooses. Will she leverage her connection to the Van Halen legacy, or distance herself from it? One thing's certain: this inheritance has changed Valerie Bertinelli's life in ways the public is only beginning to understand. And that second mysterious beneficiary we mentioned earlier? That's a story that will send shockwaves through the entertainment industry when it finally comes to light.